This is the English 2.0 podcast. Communicate globally. Raise your level. Speak English naturally. Hello and welcome to another episode of the English 2.0 podcast, the only podcast that goes beyond the words and phrases. This is not a podcast for beginners, but for intermediate and advanced students who really want to take their English to the next level. I call that English 2.0. So thanks for watching. My name is Al. And no, we haven't had an episode in a long time, so I apologize for the delay in getting this one out. And the reason for that is mainly because I was working on my new pronunciation course, natural pronunciation course. So as over 400 people have already gone through the level 1 course, I decided to make level 2. Now level 1 is free. You can just access that by going to alsensei.com/tips, and you can get access to that immediately if you don't have access. If you are already, or if you are interested in just going directly to level 2, and of course level 1 will be included, you can just go to alsensei.com and then click on the level 2 tab, and that'll take you right to level 2. Now since it did take me a while to produce and make, there is a small fee for that, so you could definitely help out Al Sensei if you want to participate in level 2. So please check out alsensei.com and click on the level 2 tab, and it'll take you to that page, and I'll have a nice discount for you waiting there, so check it out please. And if you are not in the position at the moment to help out financially, I totally understand, but I would really appreciate it if you could go to iTunes or wherever you're downloading this and leave a comment, leave a rating, and again, if you really like, or if you think the podcast is helpful to you, please leave comments about that. If you think it's terrible and not helpful, you can leave a comment about that as well. I don't mind. Positive or negative is fine. But I do appreciate those who take the time to rate and leave comments at iTunes. So thank you for that. And so that's enough of the introduction here. Why don't we get on now to the first topic, and that is, as usual, the pronunciation point. Alright, in today's pronunciation point we're going to talk about 3 challenging words that use the L and the R sounds. Those words are really, rarely, and library. Alright, sound good? Alright, well let's get to it. Now the key to pronouncing these words with both the L and the R sounds is really isolating these sounds. Okay? Isolate just means to really separate them. Okay, so completely separate them. They are not connected, they are not related in any way at all. Okay, so in your mind as well as physically in your mouth, we're going to make completely different movements and use our muscles completely different when we say those sounds. So let's start with the first word, which is really. Alright, so of course the first position of the word we have the R sound in the real part. Okay, so what we want to do is focus completely on the sides of our mouth and not on our tongue. We don't want the tongue to move like this at all. Our tongue is just going to be positioned ideally at the roof of your mouth and locked in there. Okay? It's not going to move at all. But really we're going to focus on the sides here, okay? And if you want to watch me first, I think that'll help. So I'll just say it slowly. Really. Okay, so maybe start with your mouth in an O shape like this and pull it back. Okay, so re. Okay, so just start with that first sound, re. All right, once you can say re, then we can move on to the second part, which is li. Okay, so we have, separating them completely, we have re, li. Okay, so one more time, re, li. Now with the li, the second part, with the L sound, now we want to activate our tongue and use it strongly. Okay, and the sides of the mouth we don't worry about. We just worry about completely the tongue only. Okay, so make sure you're moving that tongue. Li. Okay, see, my sides of the mouth are not moving at all. It's all inside the mouth. Li. Okay, so if you can really separate those sounds and practice them one at a time, back to back, you should be able to say re, li. Okay, put it together. Really. Okay, so you can get, as you get better, more comfortable with it, then you can start speeding it up a little bit. Start slowly. All right, really, and you can add intonation and stuff like that. All right, so now let's move on to the second word, and the second word today is rarely. Okay, now it's very similar to really. Again, we're going to start with the R sound, the rare. Okay, but now we have another R sound before the L. So this is a really challenging one to get down first. Once you can get it, you can do it very clearly. So let's focus on the first part, which is rare. So forget about li for now and just say rare. So when we activate our sides of the mouth again, rare, and then we're going to use the R in the ending position as well, okay, to make that final sound. Rare. Okay, so your mouth will kind of open and come back. It'll open to make the sound, but then come back to make the Okay, so rare. Okay, so practice rare first. Once you get comfortable saying rare, then add li. Okay, rarely. Really separate those two parts. Okay, don't try to go too fast and combine them, or else it's going to really just sound ridiculous. Okay, so just first practice rarely. Okay, once you get comfortable, again, put them together. Rarely. Then you can put it together faster and faster as you get more comfortable. Rarely. Okay, good job. All right, let's move on to the final word today, which is library. Okay, so in this case, we're going to start with the L sound in the first position. So this time, focus on the tongue. Lie. Okay, focus on that first part of the word and say lie. Okay, that hopefully you should be able to get that. Now we move on to the middle part, which is bre. Okay, so we're going to add the B plus the R sound. Bre. Okay, again, focus on the sides of the mouth, not the tongue. Brer. Again, and then the final sound is the re. Again, sides of the mouth, the R sound, re. Brary. Put those final two parts together. Brary. Okay, once you get that, now add the first part at the beginning L sound. Library. Okay, put it together slowly. Library. Okay, good. Again, separate each of those three parts, practice them slowly, and you should be able to do it. One common problem that I see my students here in Japan sometimes fall into is wanting to use the mouth to make the L sound. Okay, and then also reverse, using the tongue for the R sound. Okay, so when saying a word like library, the might come out like why, or like trying to use the mouth to make the first sound.
It's okay. I mean, just really try to isolate the tongue and say lie. Okay, and then in the second part of the word, brer, most people can do that okay. And then since you're making the R sound in the middle part, the brer, the tendency is then to use the tongue on the last li. Okay, so it might sound like library or library. Okay, so try to avoid that temptation and use the R sound at the end. Okay, library. Okay, again, use the sides of the mouth. Library. Okay, so fight that temptation to use the tongue at the end when you have the R sound there. Okay, so again, the three words: really, rarely, library. Okay, practice them slowly, separate each part, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it. 3 tough words with the R and L sound. I'm sure you can do it with a little practice, and good luck. If you would like more natural sounding English pronunciation, please sign up for my free pronunciation course at alsensei.com/tips. All right, in today's main topic, we're going to talk about how to level up your study effectiveness. Now, when I take a look at most of my students, or just students in general, a lot of them are just doing very general activities like, reading a textbook or watching an English movie, which of course is better than nothing, but it's not really that focused. And I think, there are better ways to be more effective in our study. And that's what we want to talk about in today's podcast, is how to level up your study effectiveness. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. And really, we're going to talk about 2 things. Okay, we're going to talk about setting goals, and then we're going to talk about the second point, which is how to create an action plan for yourself. Now, when we set a goal, of course, one of the first questions we need to ask, or we'd like to ask ourselves, is why are we studying English in the first place? So what's our purpose, or what is causing us to want to study English? And I think that'll give you a good idea of what a good goal will be for you. Now, a goal could be, a typical goal would be like to do better at a test. In Japan here, a very popular test is TOEIC. So to improve your TOEIC score is a popular goal. If you're having trouble thinking of a goal that fits you, I would suggest thinking of the 4 different skills in English: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. And target 1, maybe 2, but not more than that. And I know most of you out there saying, oh, Al, I want to do everything. I want to level up everything. Well, yeah, I know that's a very good idea for the long term, but for the short term here, we want to just choose maybe 1 to focus on and do 1 at a time. And so if we choose everything at once, we tend to lose focus, and it's most likely that we'll end up doing nothing at all. So I would suggest choose 1 activity, or choose 1 skill first, and then after you achieve 1 of them, then you can move on to another particular skill. So let's say you really want to improve your speaking ability. I think most of you out there want to improve speaking. That's a good start for a goal. Okay, now the second thing is to think about, well, what kind of situation are you going to speak in? Or how are you going to speak? What would you like to do? Okay, so again, let me give you some examples. A very typical way to speak, of course, is just in general conversation with people, having a natural conversation with someone. Another example of speaking in a different way would be maybe for work you need to give sales presentations. And that's a very different type of speaking, because it's mostly just going to be an individual speech rather than interaction between 2 people. So it's a very different type of speaking. Or maybe perhaps you want to get better at speaking on the telephone, which is a different skill. So think about what kind of situation you'd like to improve with speaking or really target, and set that as your goal. All right, now when we set a good goal, we need to really consider a couple of things. Okay, so a good goal needs to be very clear, very specific, and it needs to have a deadline. Okay, so for example, if you say your goal is, well, I would like to improve my TOEIC score. It's very general, it's okay, it's a good start, but it's not, again, it's not so clear, not so specific, and there's no deadline. Okay, so if you change that, let's say, okay, well, maybe a TOEIC score, I could either set a target score or an increase in an amount of points. So for example, I could say I want to increase my TOEIC score by 100 points, and I would like to do that within 2 months from now. Okay, so you've got a clear deadline, you've got a clear specific target. That is a good goal. All right, so let's go back to our speaking example. So let's say I want to improve my speaking in just general conversation. So I'll set a goal that I want to have a natural conversation with a complete stranger for 10 minutes. And I want to do that within, say, I don't know, 1 month from now. Okay, so that's my goal. And that's a clear goal. It has very specific details, and it has a deadline. So that's a good goal. Now, let's move on to the next point. All right, now once we have our goal, we can now set a clear action plan. Now your action plan is going to be maybe 1 or 2 clear activities that you can do, hopefully daily, that will lead you right to achieving your goal. Okay, so we have to make sure that these actions are very clear, they fit into your daily lifestyle routine, and you'll be consistent and do them very regularly. Okay, so the first thing is to think about your goal and what clear action is really in line with that goal. Let's use our speaking goal again. Now, of course, all of the other skills, the listening, writing, and reading, will connect to speaking somehow. But I think it's best to find an activity that is actually speaking to help us achieve a speaking goal. Okay, so for example, if my goal is to improve my speaking in natural conversations, it would probably make not much sense to read news articles every day only. Okay, that doesn't really have a direct connection to speaking. So what I'd like to do is set a more speaking-oriented activity. So for example, it could be something like practice giving a 1-minute speech about a certain topic every day and record it. Or it could be practice reading dialogues out loud. It's something that has speaking, and something that's more active rather than just passive, like listening. And if your goal is a TOEIC goal, for example, then of course reading a book or going through some exercises is good, but I would also then recommend actually taking practice tests with a timer, and set that as your action, maybe doing that once a week up until the test date. That would be a good action plan, action or activity, in my opinion. Now, one question that you might have is, well, how long should I study each day? It's a good question, but I think, of course, it depends on your goal and it depends on your action, your activity. So I would say set a time that is not stressful for you. Okay? In other words, what will you actually do every day? Okay? Not what might you do, but actually what will you do every day? All right, so if you say, I will study each day for 1 hour, of course, that sounds pretty good, but think about what is your actual feeling then on the day? Do you feel like, it's too much, I don't want to do that? Or do you feel like, no problem, hey, 1 hour, no problem at all? So that's the kind of feeling you really want to pay attention to. Okay? So if you feel like, hey, that's no problem, go for it, you can do that. If you, on the other hand, if you feel like, it's too much, I don't want to, and then you don't, that's no good. So in that case, don't feel bad at all. Just lower the amount of time. It's okay. It's no problem at all. Just lower the amount of time until you feel like I will do that, I want to do that, I can do that. Okay, so even if we go down to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, it's okay. Whatever that level is, where you feel comfortable each day and you have that good feeling, that positive feeling, that's the important thing, okay? So that you will do it, because we want to establish that habit, that routine for your study. Okay, that's the most important thing in this lesson. So those are some of my thoughts on how to improve your study effectiveness. Of course, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any other tips or advice to add to this, please write them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure all the other viewers would love to hear your thoughts as well on how to improve their study effectiveness. So for your action plan today, after watching this video, please set a goal. Make sure it's clear, make sure it has a deadline, make sure it's specific, and then set an action plan for yourself, having 1 or 2 activities that you can do daily that are right in line with your goal, and you will reach that really quickly. And I think, maybe set the goal for, just a few months from now. A short-term goal would be good to start with, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it with no problem at all. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to email me, ask@alsensei.com, and good luck with your goal setting and action planning, and good luck with your overall general study effectiveness. Alright, in today's quick tip, I'd like to recommend the application for iPhone, iPad, and your Android devices. And this is called TEDict. And if you're wondering what this is, well, it is an app that can be used with the very popular TED Talks. If you're not familiar with TED Talks, they are basically presentations given at a very famous conference called TED, T-E-D, which stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And they've had very famous speakers there, and at least with my students, these presentations have become very popular to watch for English study and practice. You can usually find them on YouTube or even just the website TED.com, and there is a basic application for TED itself. Now, TEDict is an application where you can watch those presentations as well, but also as you watch, you can dictate what the speaker is saying. Okay, so as they speak, you can try to type in on your keyboard what they're saying, so to help you, in other words, dictate what they're saying, and it'll help you really raise your level of understanding, your level of listening. So I think it'll be really helpful for you and fun. If you are a fan of the TED Talks, the TED presentations, definitely give this application a try. And that is today's quick tip. Alright, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you have any comments at all, please leave them in the comments section below. If you have a question for me, please email me, ask@alsensei.com as always. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter @alsensei, and join the English 2.0 Facebook fan page, and that is at facebook.com/speaknaturaleNglish, and I hope to see you all there. And if you would like to be part of the group of over 400 students that have leveled up their pronunciation and can speak now more naturally, please join me at alsensei.com/tips, and you'll get signed up for the Natural English course right there. So I hope to see you there. And until next time, good luck, and I'll catch you on the next episode.